Daf Yomi, Tractate Bava, page 82. Top of the page, with the words V'ha ki asa Rabbi Avin, Amar Rav Yochanan. The Gemara further questions the number of Joshua's stipulations. But when Rabbi Avin came from Eretz Yisrael, he said that Rabbi Yochanan says, with regard to both a tree that leans into the field of another and a tree that is close to a boundary with another field, the owner of the tree brings the first fruits of the tree and recites the accompanying declaration as prescribed in Deuteronomy 26, 5-10, as it was on this condition that Joshua apportioned Eretz Yisrael to the Jewish people. This is an additional stipulation by Joshua, which means that there are more than 10. The Gemara answers, rather, who is the one who taught the Braita that deals with the 10 conditions that Joshua stipulated? It is Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi, an Amora. Therefore, Rabbi Yochanan, another Amora, can disagree with it. Rav Geviha, wonder how often he shows up in Shas. Probably not very often. Rav Geviha from Bei Katil teaches this explicitly in his version of the Braita. Rabbi Tanchum and Rabbi Bereus, also not that common, Birias, say in the name of a certain elder. And who is that elder? It is Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi. Joshua stipulated 10 conditions. The sages taught that Ezra the scribe instituted 10 ordinances. He instituted that communities read the Torah on Shabbat in the afternoon, and they also read the Torah on every Monday and Thursday. And the courts convene and judge every Monday and Thursday. And one does laundry on Thursday. And one eats garlic on Shabbat Eve. And Ezra further instituted that a woman should rise early and bake bread on those days when she wants to bake, and that a woman should don on a breechcloth, and that a woman should first comb her hair and only then immerse in a ritual bath after being ritually impure, and that peddlers of cosmetics and perfumes should travel around through all the towns. And Ezra further instituted the requirement of immersion for those who experienced a seminal emission. The Gemara analyzes these ordinances, the first of which is that communities shall read the Torah on Shabbat afternoon. This Gemara explains that this ordinance was instituted due to those who sit idly on street corners, who do not attend the synagogue during the week. The Gemara discusses the second of Ezra's ordinances, and that they should read the Torah on every Monday and Thursday. The Gemara asks, did Ezra institute this practice? But it was instituted from the beginning. That is, long before his time. As it is taught in a Braita with regard to the verse, and Moses led Israel onward from the Red Sea, and they went out into the wilderness of Shur. And they went 3 days in the wilderness and found no water. Exodus 15:12. That's this week's parsha. Those who interpret verses metaphorically said that water here is referring to nothing other than Torah, as it is stated metaphorically concerning those who desire wisdom, ho, everyone who thirsts, come for water. Isaiah 55:1. The Braita continues, the verse means that since the Jews traveled for 3 days without hearing any Torah, they became weary, and therefore the prophets among them arose and instituted for them that they should read from the Torah each Shabbat, and pause on Sunday and read again on Monday, and pause on Tuesday and Wednesday, and read again on Thursday, and pause on Shabbat Eve, so they would not tarry 3 days without hearing the Torah. Evidently, this practice predates Ezra. The Gemara answers, initially they instituted that one man read 3 verses, or alternatively that 3 men read 3 verses. Either way, the number 3 corresponds to the 3 types of Jews: priests, Levites, and Israelites. Ezra later came and instituted that 3 men always read, and that 10 verses always be read by them, corresponding to the 10 idlers in a city. That is, the 10 men who are paid to spend their time dealing with the synagogue and communal matters. Batlanin. The next ordinance of Ezra is, and the courts convene and judge every Monday and Thursday. The Gemara explains that the reason for this ordinance is that many people are found in the city on these days as they come from the countryside for the reading of the holy book, the Torah, which is performed on Mondays and Thursdays as stated above. The Braita teaches and that one should do laundry on Thursday. This was instituted due to the need to have clean garments in deference to Shabbat. The Gemara explains the next listed ordinance, and that one should eat garlic on Shabbat Eve. This is due to the fact that garlic enhances sexual potency, and Friday night is an appropriate time for conjugal relations. As it is written concerning the righteous, and he shall be like a tree planted by streams of water, who brings forth his fruit in his season. Psalms 1:3, and Rabbi Yehuda says that some say it was Rav Nachman, and some say it was Rav Kahana, and some say it was Rav Yochanan who said, this is referring to one who engages in sexual intercourse every Shabbat Eve. The sages taught in a Braita that 5 matters were stated with regard to garlic. It satisfies, it warms the body, it causes one's countenance to shine, it increases one's sperm, and it kills lice that are in the intestines. And some say that it also instills love into those who eat it and removes jealousy from them. The next ordinance is, and that a woman should rise early and bake bread on those days when she bakes. This Gemara explains that this was instituted so that bread should be available for poor people who go begging for bread in the mornings. The Braita further teaches, and that a woman should don a breechcloth. This ordinance was instituted due to the reasons of modesty. The Braita adds, and that a woman should first comb her hair and only then immerse in a ritual bath. This is to ensure that there is no dirt or other substance in the hair that would invalidate the immersion. The Gemara questions this. This is required by Torah law. Ezra did not institute this, as it is taught in a Braita concerning a verse that discusses one who must undergo ritual immersion, and he shall bathe his flesh in water. Leviticus 14:9. This verse teaches that no substance should interpose between his flesh and the water. When the verse states in the expanded form of et in his flesh, et bisaro, using the term et, this teaches that the water must come into contact even with which is that which is subordinate to his flesh, and what is that? One's hair. Accordingly, the Torah itself states that there may not be any interposing substance in the hair at the time of immersion. What then did Ezra add? The sages say in response, by Torah law, one is required to inspect his or her hair before immersion, as perhaps some hairs are knotted together, preventing contact with water at that spot, or perhaps there is some repulsive substance in his hair. One must perform this inspection because these would constitute an interposition.